I've been thinking a lot about servant leadership lately, and I think it's the greatest leadership model that anybody could embrace. And sometimes it's easier to embrace the concept of servant leadership until you're treated like a servant and less like a leader. You see, even if you are in a positional, if you possess positional authority in some organizational hierarchy, and you have a grip of people that maybe report to you, some direct reports, there are people that answer to you, people that should be serving you. It can be easy to say servant leadership is serving those people in your authority and in your direction, and even in your directives. But I think true servant leadership does not yield the authority to manipulate, to control, or to demand. I believe true servant leadership takes the authority you've been given, and you look to use that authority for greater opportunities to serve, so that people can see Christ in you to a greater measure. Jesus was an amazing leader, and obviously there are lots of books out there on the leadership lessons of Jesus, but I think the servant leadership of Jesus, his willingness to serve people who were if we could say it this way, if they were people who were his direct reports, his volunteer team, those people who had left their jobs to follow him, not for pay, not for notoriety, but truly because of who he was as the Son of God and as a great leader. They were committed to him. And when he went in to take the position of servant and wash their feet, there was a resistance. There was a resistance because they knew the authority that rested on him. And from an earthly perspective, they looked at his role and his authority as someone who should not be washing feet, that it was something, an action that was beneath him. And what Jesus tried to model for every leader out there was the reality that there is no act of service that is beneath you. Sure, we love this concept of servant leadership when honor flows up, but when honor is required to flow down, and as leaders we are required to submit to someone who is not above us in an organizational hierarchy, we tend to resist. It hurts our ego, our pride. There's a measure of uncomfortability, that people will respect us less, that people would follow us less. But in reality, it increases our believability to the place that people are even more enamored with your leadership and your authority, and they are more willing to follow you because there's nothing that's beneath you. And when there's nothing that's beneath you, that means everybody is on the same plane as you, at least in the eyes of God, maybe not in the eyes of your position or what talents he's given you or what he's called you to. But positionally in Christ, we are the same. And so it should take no measure of fear to serve. We serve because he first loved us and served us when he died for us. So we find ourselves serving more, and in doing so, we lead from a position of strength. If you find that you've looked with people you serve and you maybe attempt to do some serving with them, and they look at you with shock or with surprise, or maybe they let out some sarcastic quip like, "Well, hey, nice for you to be down here with us, getting your hands dirty." Maybe you have not modeled servant leadership enough. But if they look at you with a measure of honor and care and respect, and they say, "Hey, mate, no, you don't need to be here. You know, there are other things for you to do." I think that's a sign that they truly respect you and the authority that you've been given. But you serve them anyway, even if they resist, just as Jesus was resisted when he took up the towel to wash their feet. I think those are the moments where you have to push through even harder and serve even more. I think everybody loves to be served. I always say that nobody hates the hero. when they're the ones saving your life, when they're the ones helping you, when they're helping you succeed, when they're helping you grow. Nobody hates that guy or that girl or that man or that woman. We don't hate the people that are for us, that are cheering us on. We don't buck them or resist them. We embrace them. We're thankful they're in our lives because they're sometimes the encouragement we need to keep going. And sometimes you have to assume that role. Even if the person you are encouraging and building up and believing is not above you, but on your organizational hierarchy, but maybe below you, what greater measure of an example of Jesus' love than when we are to lay down our lives for others. And laying down our lives for others sometimes means laying down our pride and our ego. And if we truly believe the scriptures, then servant leadership is a greater faith step than we give it credit for. Servant leadership is a true faith step, believing that Jesus is the one who exalts, God is the one who elevates. And if it's true that all promotion, all exaltation, all elevation comes from the Father, then our serving simply positions us to be blessed by Him and for our leadership to expand and grow and truly carry greater favor and greater authority. If you're not able to serve well with the little authority that you have now, I don't know that you can expect a greater measure of authority. So take the faith step, leader, and find a place to serve, find a way to serve, and get out of your cycle, get out of your, maybe lay down your pride. And Matthew chapter 5, Jesus says this, that it's going to be the meek that inherit the earth. That term meek is a term that the imagery that could be associated with that is that you're trying to ride a bucking bronco, and while that bronco is much stronger than you'll ever be, at some point he is tamed and he allows you to ride him. He has restrained his strength for you. And maybe in the context of your leadership, it's time that you restrain your strength and you take up the towel and you serve well. I think you're going to find that it will enhance your leadership, not undermine it. Hey, hope you like this content. And if you do, just go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. And we'll see you next week.